say? If I could reach for the stars, I got it on, do you? All right, we in the game now, peoples. It's Friday. It's fuck. It's like 10 degrees here in Chicago. I didn't bring a coat. I'm just freezing my balls up everywhere I go. Mental notes: always bring a coat. It ain't right. I'll tell you that. There's a miscalculation on my part. All right, let's get to work, guys. We've got a fucked up open for the most part because this is going to be super tricky. You got 2% gap down. Now, normally, if you had a gap down into the 200-day moving average, that's a good thing. But because we had news out today, we don't know if this starts like some kind of bleed or not. But in general, first, there's a couple things. Fridays are notoriously tough anyway. If any of you guys remember last Friday for us, right? There was a lot of Friday sucked last week. I don't know for those guys in the chat room, if you guys remember. Friday, we were licking our wounds a little bit. Fridays are always a little bit tricky, but last Friday was notoriously tricky. So we do got to be a little bit careful today. 1.5%, 2% gap down in 200-day moving average. We need to see if this, hold here. This is going to kind of give us an idea of who's really in control here. You can see here, the SPY's right at the 50-day moving average too. Like we really do need to make some type of bounce attempt here at the open. And, this was interesting. We got a big Fugazi yesterday. This happens a lot. Like you can see the run up in the SPY into the close, and then the run up right into the Qs, into the close yesterday. And so there was like some positioning and probably just, it was like a Fugazi. And then they drop it hot, right? And so now you're actually below yesterday's lows. And we're gonna need to be real, man, we're just gonna have to be real careful today. This is not an ideal setup for us due to the size. Like if we were down maybe 0.5%, 1%, we would have had a little bit more room. Because the thing is, like if you come in hot on the short at the open, you might run right into this 200-day moving average, and that's right a no-no, because a big part of trading, you got to still trade around these levels, right? You don't want to come in too hot on, right, the mother of all support. So we'll have to be a little bit careful here at the open. See how that first 5 to 10, 15 minutes marinates, and then we'll kind of get an idea of what we need to do. And then remember, the SPY is right sitting here at the 50, and then you got the 200 like right under. Now, this has been kind of nasty. I think the worst case scenario for us, I don't mind if the market starts to just kind of crash back, but the last thing we want to do is get stuck in a range. Right? So this range over here, if we start coming back into this, that's like the worst trading action you can think of, right? Range trading is tough. There's nothing worse than range trading, right? It's going to the party with 24 dudes and only 2 chicks, right? Like, something weird's about to happen because everybody's just standing around the corner. So you don't want to get back into the range trading. It's the worst, That's sitting in the back seat of your buddy's Volkswagen Passat in the middle, right? And then you're sitting there shamed, like my buddy owns a Volkswagen, and then I'm also sitting in the back in the bitch spot, and I'm going to a party with a bunch of Indian dudes and only 2 chicks, right? Like, you don't want to even go into that kind of lifestyle. We've lived it, all us Patels, us Gujaratis, we've lived that life. We don't want to do it again. So we'll be careful today. Let's take a look at the earnings plays. There are one thing about this market the last couple of weeks, even when the market's been shitting itself, there's been really, really interesting earnings plays. Yesterday, right, you had some really good follow through on some of these, like, right, earnings bombs like W, and, you had mRNA. And I think these will probably be some day 2 plays that we can play. But let's see what else is new. SQ, I believe in. earnings out today, and we've got a whole host of other names. So let's take a look at the gapper plays, and then we'll kind of come back into the market specific plays. Now, Bayer. So this is, man, this is like your Friday jammer, right? Man, you got some heat on this thing. No small caps on Fridays, especially in cold weather. I mean, that's like the biggest no-no you could do. But this is probably for some of you degens out there, right? You can trade it if you want. It's got the rounding pattern and probably the liquidity to trade back and forth. Not my particular flavor. BYND 12% gap here on earnings. You know, this one's probably got a decent amount of shorts in it. My guess is, I mean, right? Nobody really likes fake meat, so you know you probably got a lot of shorts in it just for that. I'd add that to the list. You know, let's see if that thing holds up. This lunar, I mean, this was obviously a pump and dump. Oof. That's right. Go straight up, straight back down. Like, I'd like to meet these people that move these things. UVHY. So this is, see how these are all the bear ETF. So China bear ETF is going. So right, these China stocks are still bleeding out. You know, BABA faded its gap the whole way yesterday, right? BABA faded its gap the whole way yesterday and is moving under 200-day moving average. You know, Baidu faded its gap the whole way yesterday, gapped up to 150 on earnings, right? You had 20-point reversal. These are all breaking under major supports here. This PDD's got, right, your classic gap down bear flag, meaning like, you know, you have a piece of news out and then, right, you kind of consolidate for usually it's 3 to 10 days. Then you start to take out these ranges. If this thing breaks under, I would say about 82, then I think you've got something there that we can trade. Let's keep that on watch here. Let's go back though. These China stocks they are notoriously tricky to trade. These are all inverse ETF. Farfetch, loss widens, revenue gains, CFO to step down by year end. You know, this is an interesting one. Usually when the CFOs step down, there's usually like a fugazi happening in the company, right? Like some little accounting irregularities. This is one of those kind of cheaper names that might be worth a gander to see if it picks up on earnings. Usually when you're at this price, even like bad news sometimes gets absorbed. You know, you always got to kind of take like, right, like these things like Fastly and stuff, because they're like just so beaten down. Sometimes like they'll gap up on their earnings and they just actually have like these nice pushes. You know, this thing went up for like a monster run. So I'm interested to watch this Farfetch. Let's see if it's got anything on it. It's not like really a low float company, but it's not high float, right? But it's probably cheap enough where, who knows, if the market reverses, we might be able to get a little bit of juice here. We got SQ. Add this to the watch list too. Hold on. Hold on one second here. Goddamn, got to turn the heater on over here. Big K hasn't been in cold weather in a long time. Big K has not been in cold weather in a long time. Junkies are all inverse ETFs. Let's see if we got anything juicy. Let's go back to this SQ for a real second. All right. Because there's a couple things that usually are going downtown, Julie Brown on something like this. You know, if it can kind of hold over the 20 SMA over here, you may get some juice. Now, if today is like some big liquidation day in the markets, meaning, you know, it's just one of those Friday kind of Friday FU days where the market decides to just melt, there's probably zero chance that this thing holds. You know, usually earnings plays would be independent to like kind of what's happening in the market. But with the size of the gap down and kind of the overall tenor of what's happening here, you know, especially if these like kind of, you know, Fed bang bro guys start coming on the tube, talking about, you know, a little this, a little that, a little this, a little that. You may get a bleed out in something like this too. So we'll need to keep an eye on this. But this is going to be probably one of the better movers today. Whether it's up or down, we'll have to see. But let's keep this on. And you know, we've made a lot of money trading this over the years, anyways. This is our specific type of flavor here. Let me see, BBPR. I don't think that's probably too thin for anybody to trade. Yeah, this dyno's okay, but this is too thin to trade too. You know, you need a lot more liquidity than 14,000 shares. And then oil and gas things to trade. Like it's not really our cup of tea. So let's go back there. We got BYND, we got SQ, we got Farfetch. Then a bunch of fucking inverse ETS in the gapper list. Don't worry, we'll get into these other ones in a second. Hold on. Now let's see if we got anything juicy on the downside, because you know we do gotta be. I think my mess up yesterday was not really attacking this W and some of these ones, right? That really got shemangled out. AMAM. Hey, this AMAM's got an investors notes conference at 12. I believe 12 at noon today. If you see a pop into this and does a fake red to green, my guess is this bleeds out. They usually do that into the investors notes. So what they, right, it's like a run up into this conference. You know, they'll probably come to conference, say they got all this cool shit happening. When anytime a company says that and it's already run up, right, they tend to bleed out. This is probably a big bleeder today. I keep that. Let's see how it reacts a little bit closer to noon. We probably want to get a piece of that at some point. Hey, this Carvana, first pop, this may kind of do like a BBY type of thing, like where you just get fucking shemangled. Let's see how this first pop works. My guess is these guys do a BBY type of thing where they just dilute the shit out of the shares in the next few weeks. They had a chance to run this big pump and probably dilute some shares, and the idiots didn't do it. You gotta always pump it and dump it. These companies don't have good timing on these things, man. If you guys remember the last earnings, you know, obviously it was a little bit higher in price, but it bled. The last time it had earnings, it bled like all day. You see this day here? I'll show you. Like it bled all day. It was at $18 by the end of the day. You know, $14, and then it kept going and going. I could turn back time. Man, I'm liking this too. Let's see. You know, you don't want to short it too close to the 50-day moving average, but let's see if it pops up a little bit. You guys are trading small caps on Fridays. This is just sacrilegious. Yeah, let me look here. Let me look at that one. Net tees. This one's going to be too thin. Adobe's a third. Adobe, Pigmalion, interest case. Adobe sex to trade too. That's actually this. That's a piece type of news piece like we normally try to get a piece of. Especially with the market gapping down like this, you may get a bleeder in the markets. This could actually have decent enough range. My worry on this would be like if it's got it's gonna have a monster cock spread on it. So I'll add that to the list, but we got to be a little bit careful. Yeah, I think these China stocks are looking like bleeders too. If I could turn back time. Ugh, look at those things. All right, and let's take a look at some of these big boys too. So we got two plans today. All right, we're gonna have two plans today. So plan number one. All right, plan number one. Let's narrow this down. If we come in, watch the action around 290, we may get a momentary spike at the 200-day moving averages of these things. I say momentarily because it doesn't look like any of the price actions reacting to it just yet, right? So we get a momentary spike. We watch for a momentary spike around 200-day moving average. Beyond that, secondary actions, right? We've got these earnings plays to watch. You got BYND, you got the SQ Nation, you got the Farfetch. You had NVIDIA had earnings out yesterday, right? Etsy had earnings out yesterday. mRNA had earnings out yesterday. You had earnings out yesterday. So like these, these can continue on, I think, in a much easier way. We've got an 82 spot on PDD. Oh, yeah. And then we got this Adobe's got some news. That's probably a little bit less of a priority due to the spread. We got this CVNA too. I want to watch this thing and see if it ends up getting a big bleeder today. I think it's probably the SSR will be on it, so it's going to need to pop a little bit, and then we'll see. We'll see what's going on this thing. Let's take a look at just some of the big boys. Mark out the levels here. Tesla is sitting right at the 20 SMA today. If it's gonna bleed off, today's probably the day to do it, right? With like the market in flux, we got this inflation thing. This is starting to look like a little bit of a head and shoulders. This thing can bleed out, right? So you got a 190 first magnet. So the 20 SMA, if you lose it, then you got a 190 kind of first magnet over here, right? If you pop up at the open, we get the bounce off the 200-day moving average. We can take some, we can start shorting the pop into the 203, 205 levels, all right? Right, like that was yesterday's highs too. So remember, if you lose the 20, we got 190 magnet. If the market starts to bounce at the 200, then we go into the 203, 205s and level in. And Tesla likes to fade off pops anyways, even though I'm a degenerate chaser on this thing for some reason. Some of you other more gentlemanly people in the chat room seem to do very good on, hitting the pops on this and, all this kind of fun stuff. So you got a level over there, right? AMD is a breakdown pullback. It's 5 days of down, pop into 20 SMA. Now you're re-losing the 200 SMA, 200. That's going to be probably a good spot. Hey, Charlie, chill out, baby. That's probably going to be a good spot because the market's going to be in flux. I want to really focus in on liquidity, meaning like the kind of Airbnbs and stuff like we normally kind of look at. They're going to be too thin. We want to be like really just about liquid names today for the most part. Let's take a look at NVIDIA here. So I think NVIDIA is probably a case of like, yeah, if the market really rebounded and bounced up to 200, we start getting a little bit of a trend day, which is very unlikely. Then, we can probably try to take this for the red to green. I'd almost more be leaning into doing a failed follow-through move on this, meaning letting it pop and do a fake red to green and try to fizzle it out if the market's going to do it and fill this gap. And the reason I say that is because if you look at all the other earnings plays, right, they filled the gaps completely. So like, see this Palantir, right? They filled these gaps, they filled those spikes completely. Roku, right? You had the big spike and now they're coming all the way back. So, see this Twilio, right? These tech stocks are filling their gaps all the way. What are the odds that really NVIDIA is going to like hold through? It could, right? It could. But I think our better plan is to actually, we can buy the dip on it and then, shred into, and that takes a lot of, being nimble. You can buy the dip on it and shred it into this spot, but then probably look to flip. Even if it breaks over, if the market is down ticking, I think that you do the failed follow through move. How many times have we been caught on the fake red to greens? You know what I mean? And then we got to chase it back down. I only say this because most of these other earnings plays are really getting fucking smoked out. I think, yeah, you could still, man, AI was acting like a bitch yesterday, but we can probably keep sharding it if you want. Yeah, I think NVIDIA, let's add it. AMD, let's add it. Remember AMAM, and we got these earnings plays here. Let's dig in on these things. You have BYND, SQ. Ooh. BYND, SQ. I think Farfetch I'll probably put on the second 6 windows. Whoa. Man, these travel monitors are such a pain. I'll do this Fitch on the second 6 windows. mRNA is already getting dusted. Remember, 195 is the spot on Tesla 20 SMA. Good. All right, all right. Remember your day 2 plays too, right? So you got you under previous day's lows. W also you could do. This AMAM's already getting dusted. Let's see if it pops here at some point. Keep an alert once you get into 650. Look at this BYD's already pop-a-locking a little bit. All right, let's trade well. Let's trade fast. You know what we got to do? Remember, it's Friday. Remember last Friday. Never forget last Friday. I mean, that was a painful day. If I recall correctly, it could be nasty, right? It was not. We were all over the place. We want to make sure we don't get too aggressive at the open. Let's see how the market reacts around that 200-day moving average. I'll put BA on the list too. It just trades so thin. Good. Guys, let's have some fun today. You know how it goes. Hey, Sean, then Melly probably just you don't want to chase up a gap on while the market's getting tanked out like that, but that's a really nice chart. Like if it ever breaks that kind of 1200, I think you're going to have a decent spot on it. All right, let's go do what we do, guys, which is the do. If I could turn back time, if I could find a way. Yeah, let the market pop up a little bit. Let's look for an entry on this BYND. Damn. SQ holds. Use breaking under yesterday's lows. Look at this U breaking under yesterday's lows. If it can build under here and hold, it'll probably get some juice in. Fucking shred. Yeah, this bear's pushing, huh? Where'd all the volume go? It looked like it was doing the shitload. Not bad, not bad. Armando. What's that support? Guys, if this U marinates around this under this 30.50, we'll probably get a good gander at it. That was an earnings play from yesterday. mRNA, yeah, if it pushes into this spot, maybe. Remember the 200-day moving average is about 290.22. Just kind of set an alert, like right at that spot. You know, if we get close, then we start looking to potentially, right, do a little dipsy do dunkaroo. You UID push it. Yeah, you may have a lot of shorts in that bad boy. Watch that 20 spot. Yeah, she got 2-minute ORB. Far-fetched pushing. I knew it. Good, good. Let's see what's up. SQ holder, you got a hanging chat on the queue so far. Yeah, look at this U. Now I'm short some Tesla. I'm short some Tesla, 196. I'm short some Tesla, 196. Yeah, nice on you, buddy. Ooh, SQ's fading off its gap too. Oh, now you got ORB cities, ORB cities, ORB cities. I covered 196.12. Yeah, when you get the wick down, you pull back over. It's better to get out flat. BYD still squeezed out. He's got a little marination over there. Short some CVNA. I'm short some CVNA. Short some CVNA. Yeah, we'll get another shot at this Tesla. I won't worry about it.